we almost have an engine bay again. What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm just gonna cut straight to the point of this video. We're gonna get my new Rad installed. So I went ahead and picked up a Mishimoto aluminum radiator because this thing's gonna be pushing all the ponies. So we're gonna need to keep her nice and cool. So if you guys caught my last video, you would have seen that I got my wire harness like completely installed. I kind of tried to wire tuck it the best I could, and I deleted all the evap shit that I don't need because, like I said, Alberta. So now that I got the wiring harness completely installed, my next step is getting this Rad in the car. So first thing I gotta do is I gotta get the fan swapped over from my old Rad onto the new Mishimoto Rad and get the overflow tank and the Rad hoses and everything swapped onto this one and then get it in the car. This one's a super easy install. You guys should all be able to tackle this, but just so that I can make another video, I'm gonna walk you guys through it. Before we get started on this install might be a little bit different for you guys because I am actually deleting this expansion tank right here. I'm not gonna be running it anymore. It's big and ugly, and I got a shaved intake manifold, so there's nowhere to mount it anymore anyways. First thing we're gonna do to get these Rad fans off is there's gonna be 4 bolts mounting it along the top here. There's one behind this overflow tank that you just gotta pop off to get at that back bolt. So to pop this overflow tank off, there's just gonna be a little tab on the side here. You're just gonna push that in, and then you can lift the tank up, and it'll slide right off. Now you have access to that bolt. So now to get these bolts off, they're just all 10 mils, just zip them all out of there. Now, there is 2 little mounting dowels on each Rad fan, so you're just gonna lean it back and then lift up, and the fan should come right out. Now let's get these installed on the new Rad. Before I get these things on, don't even mention the bent fins. I dropped my power steering pump and they touched the Rad. I tried to straighten them out as best I can. On camera, it looks way worse than it is in person, but it's fine. So we're gonna slide these into these mounts on the bottom. Oh, that was a horrible noise. What the fuck? These fans not even fit. Oh my God. The Rad Fan Shroud with the connector that's on the bottom is gonna go on the right side because this little plastic piece sticks out too far. It won't mount on the left side or else you're just gonna squish the fins like I did there. This is super nice. They actually have the factory mounts here, so you're just gonna slide them in, set her against there. Then since I'm deleting that expansion tank, I'm not gonna have that top coolant tube that goes up top here. So I'm just gonna get these bolts in. Tight as a tiger. Now we can get this second shroud set into place and get both bolts hand threaded on first. I'm not feeling very sendy today. I'll probably cross thread them, and this is aluminum, so I ain't retapping that shit. Just like that, we got Rad fans. Next thing I'm gonna do with this factory Rad is I am gonna pop this hose off of the Rad cap, and then we're gonna pop our overflow hose off of this hard line here. I gotta dump the old coolant out of this. And before I get this overflow installed, it's all full of gunk on the bottom of it there. So I got some degreaser in there right now. I'm just gonna let it soak and clean itself out, and then I'll clean it out with a garden hose in a bit. But now that we got the Rad fan shrouds out there, let's get the Rad set into place and get it bolted down. Now to get this Rad set into place, there's gonna be 2 little bushings on the bottom here that you're gonna slide the dowels into. Then you're gonna have 2 caps on the top here that are gonna hold the Rad into place. First things first, let's get this thing lifted up. Oh, that is so much heavier with the Rad fans on there. Then we are gonna drop it in here and line up those little dowels on the bottom there. There we go. Dowels are lined up. Now we're gonna take our top caps, which I got powder coated candy red. They look absolutely unreal. And there's gonna be 2 mounting bolts on either side that you're gonna bolt these guys down to. They're just 2 12 mil bolts. You can snug those up. You don't need to torque them or anything, just tighten them. If you have a parent Rad Shroud or any kind of Rad Shroud, it's gonna go under these hooks. I have one, it's just getting powder coated right now, so I'm just mocking up the Rad like this for right now. Now that I cleaned out my overflow tank here, I'm gonna get this set in place. Just slides in that little dowel on the bottom there. You slide it in place on the back and it just snaps in. And now, since I'm deleting my expansion tank, I'm just gonna run this overflow hose directly to here. I'm not gonna have that big long line going along the top. So I'm just gonna snip this hose right at this 90-degree bend and put it on there. Hope this hose cuts okay with wire cutters. I don't know how this is gonna go. Going pretty good. I'll just slide her onto there. Mint, just like that. Next thing I gotta do is get the 2 Rad fan harnesses plugged in. There's one on the left side right there. And then you can't see it very good, but there's one right under the overflow tank on the bottom there too. Now that I got both Rad fans plugged in, I'm gonna get both my Rad hoses on. The upper one just goes from this upper port here to the main coolant passage there by the power steering pump, obviously. And I'm still running the factory hoses because for the timeline I have on this car, these are gonna have to work for now. I'll probably get some Mishimoto silicone ones or something like that eventually, but for now we're running the stockies. We're just gonna kind of angle her in this way, get this front one hooked up first. I can imagine this is gonna be super close to the pulleys because this rad is a lot bigger than the factory one. Oh yeah, that's close. This does not seem like it fits as good on here as it does on the factory rad. This spring clamp's probably gonna leak. I'm gonna replace this with an actual hose clamp because that is 100% gonna leak. There's no way that this is gonna seal that. See what it looks like once we put it on there, I guess. If not, it's not a big deal. I can just put a regular hose clamp on it. See if this spring clamp has got what it takes to seal this up. There's no way. I could try, but that's probably gonna leak. Oh, this was dumb. Why didn't I not do this before I put the power steering pump on? I'd have way more room for activities. Oh, that was so stupid. Why am I dumb? Sometimes when I'm working on cars, I just have that realization moment. I'm like, why did you put this on before you put the other thing on? It would have made your life 10 times easier. No, you always gotta do it the hard way. The hard way always sucks. Wow, is that ever close? Let's hope when I tighten these brackets down, it pulls the rad a little bit forward because I cannot believe how close that is. You can still see air through it, but that's sketchy. I don't know, you hit bumps, everything's gonna move around. If I take my finger and just push this, it touches. All right, now we're gonna get the lower radiator hose on. First, I'm gonna slide the one side onto the thermostat housing there. If you have a hard time sliding the hoses on, you can spray a little bit of WD-40 on them. Don't put too much on because you obviously don't want WD-40 in your coolant. If you got silicone spray, that works even better. Just to help the hoses slide onto the fittings. And I'll slide my spring clamp up there. And then on this side, my old spring clamp was busted, so I had a worm clamp on here before, or a regular hose clamp, so I'm gonna be using that again. Slide it into place on the Mishimoto rad, and then get my hose clamp into place. And take this hose clamp and try and shimmy slide it onto thermostat housing. Now, for these regular hose clamps, if you don't have the ones that aren't gonna wreck the hose, and they cut into the hose a little bit with the little holes on the side there, just get like a little nut driver kind of thing and tighten it up. Don't use a ratchet and absolutely reef on it, or else you're just gonna cut into the hose and cause a leak. So just tighten it up with a nut driver. Make sure you're centered on the hose. Just get it tight by hand to the point where the hose isn't gonna back off at all. Should be good. Now, if we're on the top of the radiator, like I said before, I'm deleting my expansion tank. So I rerouted that overflow line directly to the top of the rad. And then on this side where you need the fitting for the expansion tank that comes directly to it, Mishimoto gives you two fittings, a large one and a small one. I'll just leave this here so that you guys know which fitting to use. But I'm gonna take the small fitting for now, and I'm gonna put a block off cap on the end and hose clamp it on so it doesn't leak. Just make sure you put some Teflon tape or some pipe sealant on the threads here, and then it gets installed right on the passenger side of the rad on the top right there. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna take the small fitting, then I got a hose clamp and a little vacuum cap. I'm just gonna slide the vacuum cap right onto the nipple. Then I'm gonna get the hose clamp on there and just snug it up. Just like before, just tight enough so you can't slide the vacuum cap off and it's not gonna leak. Now you're gonna take some Teflon tape or pipe sealant, whatever you got, and wrap it around the threads just so that you don't get coolant dripping out of the threads on there. All right, good enough. Now that I got some Teflon tape on there, I'm just gonna thread it in by hand first, and then I will snug it up with a wrench. Take 19 mil, just snug it up. Doesn't need to be super tight, just get it snug. Remember, they're aluminum threads, so don't go too tight or else you're just gonna strip them right out. And honestly, like, it doesn't look bad having the cap there and the hose clamp, but I'm trying to make every little detail count in this thing, so I'm probably gonna go to the auto parts store and grab just a straight lock off plug that's the same thread pitch, so I can just thread it in there, block it off. That way I don't have any vacuum cap or hose clamp on there. Another thing I forgot to mention was there is a drain valve on the bottom passenger side of the rad. Mine came loose, so make sure you snug that up. There's just a little O-ring on there that seals it. Just get it nice and tight. But like I said before, don't over torque it because it is aluminum thread and you can strip it out pretty easy. And honestly, that is probably gonna be it for this video because I'm not gonna fill it with coolant because I still gotta put all the coolant hoses on the back, do the cylinder 4 cooling mod. I still gotta run all the coolant lines to the throttle body and to the AOS and everything like that. And you gotta put the front bumper and the grill on before you put your Rad Shroud on there. So yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end the video today. I'm so pumped. This thing is finally starting to come together. Like I said, we got that cylinder 4 cooling mod. We gotta build a fuel system for this thing still. We gotta get the fuel pressure regulator in, all the fuel lines. We gotta route vacuum lines for the fuel pulse dampers. I gotta get my AOS installed and route all the PCV lines. I have so much to do. So yeah, hopefully this one helped you guys out if you guys are doing that expansion tank delete and how to route the overflow hoses and to block off that one plug on the one side of the rad. But that is gonna do it for this one. Peace out, you guys. I will catch you in the next one.